Okay, I need to start with a confession. I saw a tweet this morning. Someone said we should privatize the fire department so they have incentive to respond faster. And I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. It was perfect, a flawless piece of accelerationist parody. And I scroll down, and there are 9,000 replies from people with NPR profile pics saying, actually, this is what happens when you defund public services. No, no. The point is, you're the mark. You're the joke.
And you're shocked by this? In the year of our Lord 2024?
I'm not shocked. I'm tired. There's a difference. I'm tired of the internet functioning as a sarcasm shredder. It's like we built a machine that can stream 4K video from a drone strike in real time, but it cannot detect a fucking rim shot.
Okay, so you're describing what the internet calls Poe's Law, which, let's be clear, is not an actual law. It's a forum observation from 2005 that got elevated into a truism because people love feeling smart for spotting irony.
Right, but my point is, it used to be niche. You'd see it on Something Awful or whatever. Now it's the default operating system of every platform. You can't post "I love my country" without someone asking, is this satire? It's madness.
Or, and hear me out, you're overstating the novelty. Humans have always been bad at tone over text. This is the same problem as the sarcasm punctuation people tried to push in the 80s, the percontation point. Remember that? No, because it failed. Because the problem isn't the medium. It's that people are stupid and tribal, and they want to believe the worst about the other side.
Okay, so you're saying Poe's Law isn't a structural crisis, it's just human nature with faster loading times?
Exactly. The reason that tweet blew up isn't because the algorithm couldn't detect irony. It's that the people replying already wanted to believe someone was that evil. Satire gives them permission to be outraged. They're not confused. They're grateful.
That's actually darker than my take.
Welcome to my world. You think the fire department tweet is bad? Go look at the "there's a realistic troll face now" trend on Know Your Meme. That thing was a DeviantArt drawing from 2008. It's been dead for a decade. Now it's back as a photorealistic monster, and people are arguing about whether the realistic version is offensive or satirizing offensive things. The debate itself is the meme now.
Right, but that circles back to my point. When the meme is the debate about the meme, you've lost the ability to communicate anything sincerely. Every post becomes a hall of mirrors. You can't say, "I like this song," without someone being like, "Okay, but Spotify's end-shitification means you're actually supporting Daniel Ek's third yacht."
And shitification is now officially a word, by the way. Cory Doctorow won. It's in the dictionary. So you can feel validated and miserable simultaneously.
Fantastic. Another thing the internet ruined. So who coined this damned thing? Poe's Law. Who actually said it first?
Nathan Poe, on the Christian Forums website, ironically enough. He was talking about creationism versus evolution parody. Said you couldn't tell the difference anymore. And that was 2005, before Twitter, before algorithms. Just a guy in a forum saying, this is going to be a problem.
And now it's the defining feature of public discourse.
Or it's the excuse we use to avoid admitting we just like being angry. But sure, structural crisis. Whatever gets you through the night.
So let me get this straight. The foundational document of modern internet epistemology, the thing we now cite to explain why half your Facebook feed is incomprehensible, came from a guy named Nathan arguing about dinosaurs on a Christian forum.
You say that like it undermines the point. I think it's the most perfect origin story possible. Of course it was creationists. They were the first group to realize that parody and sincerity had become functionally identical because they were the ones trying to prove the Earth was 6,000 years old with unironic conviction.
I'm not undermining the point. I'm saying the form determined the content. Think about the technology. 2005, vBulletin Forum. No profile pictures unless you uploaded a 100 by 100 JPEG of a dolphin. No tone indicators, no /s, just text on a beige background. You had to perform sincerity so hard that anyone with a slightly arched tone instantly became suspected of being a false prophet.
It's the primordial soup of misunderstanding. Yeah. But I think you're over-indexing on the platform. The real insight Poe had was about intent. He said, without a winking smiley or other blatant display of humor, it is impossible to create a parody of fundamentalism that someone won't mistake for the real thing. He didn't say on forums. He said period.
Right. But the forum was the petri dish, the limited signal. You had a post, you had a username, you had a signature line that was probably a Bible verse or a quote from the Fountainhead. That's it. Compare that to now. I can embed a TikTok, a laughing emoji, a GIF of a cat falling off a table, and type /s, and people will still ask, wait, were you being serious?
But that's my point. Poe's law isn't less relevant now. It's more relevant. The richer the medium, the more room for plausible deniability. A GIF of a cat falling off a table could be sincere if you're into cat humor, or it could be ironic if you're signaling that you think cat humor is for morons. We've just added layers to the same problem.
I'll give you that, but there's a structural difference I think you're ignoring. Godwin's law, which Poe was explicitly riffing on, was about behavior. As an online discussion grows longer, the probability of a comparison involving Nazis or Hitler approaches 1. That's a prediction about how people act. Poe's law is about interpretation. It says the medium itself is broken. No amount of good faith can fix it.
I mean, Godwin was also wrong in the way people use it. He didn't say, don't mention Hitler. He said, if you mention Hitler, you lose the argument. And everyone ignored that and made it, guy I'm arguing with is literally Hitler. Same thing happened with Poe. People now use it to say, I'm being ironic, you're just too stupid to get it, which is its own form of bad faith.
Exactly. It became a get-out-of-jail-free card for saying whatever you want. Oh, I was just testing Poe's law, bro. You fell for it. That's not a law. That's a loophole.
Sure, but you can't blame Poe for that. He was just a guy on a forum who noticed something true. And it's only gotten worse because now the incentives are different. In 2005, you had maybe 200 people on that subforum. They all kind of knew each other. The stakes were, do I look dumb in front of Dave from Ohio? Now the stakes are, do I get ratioed by 50,000 people and doxxed by a Harambe meme account?
Right. It scales. That's the transition. But I want to hold on to this. The irony you mentioned, that it came from a creationism debate. Two sides that couldn't agree on basic facts about geology, and the only thing they could agree on was, we can't tell if the other guy is joking. That's not a law. That's a cry for help.
It's both. And the cry for help is the law. Poe didn't fix anything. He just named the disease. And now we're all living in the late-stage pandemic.
But that was a forum with 200 users. What happens when you scale this up to billions?
You get a presidential election decided by a guy posting, I am literally a lizard person, and half the country nodding. But we'll get to that.
We live in a world where no one can tell if you're being serious. Your boss thinks your team's message is passive-aggressive. Your group chat thinks your joke is a manifesto. Your mom thinks your I'm fine means you're secretly dying. What if there was a solution? What if there was a man, a trained professional, standing behind you correcting the record in real time?
Oh, God.
Introducing the Sincerity Butler. For just $49.99 a month, a licensed, background-checked, tuxedoed semantic consultant will follow you everywhere. Every time you open your mouth, at work, at brunch, at your nephew's bar mitzvah, he will lean in and whisper, simply, that was sarcasm, or he means the opposite. Or in cases of extreme ambiguity, we believe he is performing a bit. Proceed with caution.
You're reading this like you actually pitched it.
And if the room still doesn't get it, your butler will gently place a hand on your shoulder and say, "I'm afraid the speaker has invoked a reference only he understands."
This is insane. You wrote this, didn't you?
I found a draft from 2021 in a Google Doc I titled "Bad Ideas That Will Make Me Rich." I thought it was a joke then. Now I'm genuinely checking if there's a market.
There isn't, but there is a market for the thing you're making fun of. The Sincerity Industrial Complex is real. It's called LinkedIn Influencers. It's called I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being vulnerable. It's called every CEO doing a poorly lit video about mental health while laying off 20% of staff.
Right, because the joke is, Poe's law means we can't tell if someone's serious. But the capitalist response isn't to fix the signal, it's to sell you a butler, to sell you a subscription to clarity. It's like, oh, you're confused about reality? Pay us. We'll narrate it for you.
And people would buy it. Because the alternative is admitting that you're the problem, that you're the one who can't read the room, that you're the one who posted the troll face thinking it was a sincere cry for help.
The product isn't a butler. The product is plausible deniability. You pay someone to translate your chaos into acceptable social signals. It's like having a PR firm for your soul.
I'm not an asshole. I'm just being ironic. Ask my butler.
He'll confirm it. He has a clipboard.
I hate that I'd consider this.
That's why the ad works, because you're already the target market. Congratulations. You just got marketed to.
And I feel violated. Almost like I'm being sarcastic about being violated. I don't know anymore.
The Sincerity Butler, now available in beta. No refunds if the butler himself starts posting ironic memes.
That's a feature, not a bug.
So we've established the disease. Let's talk about the vector. How Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, they don't just host Poe's law, they've optimized for it. They've turned it into a revenue stream.
Okay, I'm going to be the asshole here. You're describing a platform problem. I'm looking at a screenshot of some guy saying trans people are a mental illness with no avatar, no username, no thread. And I'm thinking, isn't this just a literacy problem? Like maybe we've collectively forgotten how to read past the first sentence?
Oh, literacy is dead, and the algorithm killed it. You can't blame people for not reading the room when the room has been replaced by an infinite scroll of decontextualized slaughter. The feed doesn't show you the OP. It doesn't show you the 6 replies where they clarified they were being sarcastic. It shows you the hot take, the engagement bait, the thing that makes you angry enough to type.
So the algorithm is forcing us to be stupid? I grew up on 4chan. We had /s. We had tone tags. We managed. This feels like learned helplessness dressed up as media theory.
Right. /s. Let's talk about /s. Why didn't it catch on outside of niche forums? Because it's a surrender. It's saying, I am so afraid you'll misinterpret me that I will append a typographic safe word. It's the internet equivalent of a prenup for a joke. And the algorithm hates it because it kills engagement. A well-understood joke gets a like. A misunderstood joke gets a fight. Guess which one the feed rewards?
So you're saying the platforms are actively hostile to clarity. I think you're giving them too much credit. They're not malicious. They're lazy. They optimize for time on site. Context takes effort to surface. Rage is frictionless.
That's the same thing. Lazy optimization for engagement is malicious when you know the outcome. Look at Blue Sky. Real Gershkunstman gets 12 likes for some terminally online urbanist drama. That's a low-traffic neighborhood. Nobody's getting hurt there. But the algorithmic feeds, they take that same drama, strip the thread, drop it into a million timelines, and suddenly it's a war.
So the solution is what? Mandatory OP threading? A law that says every screenshot must include the profile picture? Because that worked great for copyright.
No. The solution is admitting that the feed format itself is broken. The chronological timeline was messy, sure, but the algorithmic feed is a machine for generating pose law victims. You can't tell if someone's joking because the platform has deliberately removed every signal that would let you tell.
I want to push back on this harder. The running dad meme just resurfaced. 14 years old. Nobody needed a tone tag for that. The birds for some reason thing, it's just absurdist joy. People understood it immediately. So maybe the problem isn't the format. Maybe the problem is that political content, specifically, has become a minefield where nobody trusts anyone, and the algorithm just walks you through the minefield.
The algorithm makes you step on the mines. On purpose. Because explosions get views.
I hate that I can't fully argue with that.
Welcome to 2024, where the troll face is realistic now, and nobody can tell the difference between a joke and a manifesto until it's too late. So, yeah, the algorithm feeds you landmines until you step on one. And now we've arrived at the part of the show where I get to explain why a deviant art drawing from 2008 is single-handedly responsible for the radicalization of a generation.
Oh, here we go. The troll face origin story. Please tell me this is where you blame Pepe the Frog for the fall of the Republic.
The troll face was created by Carlos Ramirez, aka Wine, for a comic about why you so mad, bro? It was stupid. It was annoying. It was, crucially, falsely stupid. The entire point of trolling was that you were pretending to be dumber than you were. You were adopting a persona of malice or idiocy, specifically to provoke a reaction from someone who took it seriously.
Right. The Mask.
The Mask. And Poe's Law, written in 2005 about creationism, predicted exactly this. Without a winking smiley or other obvious indication of parody, it is impossible to create a parody of extreme views so obviously exaggerated that no one will mistake it for sincere. But here's the thing Poe didn't account for. He assumed people wanted to clarify. He assumed good faith.
And in 2014, the alt-right discovered that ambiguity wasn't a bug, it was a feature.
Bingo. The "it was just a meme, bro" defense. You post a swastika made of Pepe. You post 14 words in an ironic German accent. You post Holocaust revisionism as a bit. When someone calls you a Nazi, you say they're the fool for not getting the joke. The irony provides total deniability. And what that does?
What it does is create a recruitment funnel. I've read the Richard Spencer playbook. The idea was that you let normies laugh at edgy humor, then slowly move the Overton window until they're defending ethnic cleansing, because the alternative would be admitting they were wrong about a funny frog picture.
Precisely. And the platform architecture was tailor-made for this. Twitter's character limit strips tone. Reddit's upvote system rewards the most provocative take. 4chan's anonymity removes consequences. You could be a genuine believer, a shitposter, or a FBI informant, and the output was identical. The algorithm couldn't distinguish.
Okay, I'm going to play the other side here, because I think you're missing something.
I'm sure you are.
You're framing this as a loss, the death of public sincerity. But was public sincerity ever real? Or was it just enforced decorum? My grandmother in Brooklyn would tell the mailman his tie was ugly to his face. That wasn't sincere in some noble sense. That was just a culture without the social friction buffer of, maybe I shouldn't. The internet didn't kill sincerity. It killed the pretense of sincerity.
That's a convenient argument if you've never been the target of a coordinated harassment campaign that started as a joke.
I'm not defending harassment. I'm questioning the premise that the problem is irony. The problem is that vulnerability is punished. You put a genuine opinion online. I'm sad today. I think this policy is wrong. I love my wife. And someone screenshots it, puts a troll face on it, and it becomes a meme. The reaction to sincerity is mockery. That's the structural issue, not the presence of irony.
They're the same thing. Irony is the delivery mechanism for that mockery. If you don't have a culture that treats earnestness as weakness, the troll face doesn't work. The weapon is irony.
No, the weapon is the audience that laughs at the vulnerable person. Irony is just the bullet. The gun is the social dynamics that make cruelty entertaining. And I think you're nostalgic for a time when people were just better at hiding their contempt.
Maybe. My dad could tell you exactly what he thought of everyone in our neighborhood, but he'd say it to their face. There was accountability. You can't have accountability when the mask can't be removed.
So what do you want? Mandatory sincerity tags? This is a joke law?
No, I want people to admit what they lose when they make everything a bit. The realistic troll face trending right now? Look at it. It's not funny. It's a soulless, uncanny valley grin. It's the visual representation of a culture that has optimized irony until there's nothing left to be ironic about.
Or it's just a meme coming back, same as the Running Dad one from 14 years ago. People find old templates, remix them, move on. You're seeing a pattern of decline because you want to see one.
I'm seeing a pattern because the pattern is real. But fine, let's land here. The problem isn't irony. The problem is that sincerity requires vulnerability, and the internet is a machine that extracts vulnerability and turns it into content. Poe's law is just the first domino. You can be funny, or you can be real. The architecture punishes both at once.
I can't argue with that.
Great, because we have to cut to a segment about a Knicks parade having more people than several states, and I need a drink before I explain why that's also somehow about fascism.
Did you just call the Knicks fans fascists?
I'm not saying they're fascists. I'm saying the media's selective outrage about crowd sizes tells you everything about their agenda.
You are insufferable.
Welcome to 2024. Right, so we've established that the internet is a joyless husk where sincerity goes to die, and irony is just the default operating system for fascists. Let's take a break.
A break. From this, the conversation.
The show doesn't pay for itself on vibes, Nick. It pays for itself on gutless, frictionless middle positions. This ad is brought to you by Nuance.
Oh, God. Is this the one where you pay like $50 a month for a single limp index card?
Tired of having an opinion? Confused by the sheer volume of tragedies and bad takes flooding your timeline each hour? Then welcome to Nuance, the subscription service that mails you one 4x6 index card per week containing a truly balanced take on a controversial topic.
So it's a horoscope for centrists.
This week's card, immigration policy. The take? Actually, both sides have a point.
Incredible. That's the card. A single sentence that tells you nothing and pisses off everyone who has read a book on the subject.
The card is printed on recycled beige cardstock. The font is Helvetica Neue Light. It comes in a discreet envelope that says unsubscribe on the back, because we know you're going to want to, and we respect that.
Who writes these? Do you have like a basement full of former CNN contributors?
Our editorial team consists of 3 ex-New York Times public editors and a chatbot that has been trained exclusively on the View discussion section of Wikipedia. For the premium tier, we add a light smudge of coffee ring on the corner to suggest it was written in a diner during a sleepless night of deep thought.
And the price.
$29.99 a month. Or, for the truly undecided, you can pay for the annual plan and receive a bonus card in December that simply reads, "Let's circle back on this in January."
This is the most accurate parody of contemporary discourse I have ever heard, and it is making me physically angry.
Nuance. Because the problem isn't that you're wrong, it's that you're too certain. Cancel anytime. Offer not valid at tribal council meetings.
I'm going to sign my mother up for this as a prank.
She'll hate it. That's the point. We're back. All right, nuance is over. We're back. And now we have to talk about the guy who broke the internet's brain so badly that even the trolls don't know if they're trolling anymore.
You're going to say Elon.
I have to say Elon. Look, we just spent 2 segments establishing that Poe's law means you can't tell a sincere fascist from a satire of one. And then you have this guy, the richest man on earth, who posts a meme of himself as a Roman Empire, and then 2 hours later amplifies a white nationalist conspiracy theory. Is he doing a bit? Is he just stupid? Is he a performance artist who accidentally became the owner of the platform?
Or is he just a rich guy who says stupid things, and everyone overanalyzes it because they're terminally online?
See, that's the generous reading. That's the he's just a guy who wants to post reading. And I think that's exactly what makes him the living embodiment of Poe's law. We will never know. And I think that's the point. He's built a persona that is deliberately illegible. Every time you pin him down, he pivots. He's a free speech absolutist until he bans a journalist. He's a techno-optimist until he posts a doom spiral about demographics. The ambiguity is the feature.
I think you're giving him too much credit. I think he's just a guy with a brain that's been pickled in memes for 15 years, and he has the money to say whatever pops into it. There's no master plan. There's no performance. There's just a dude who got rich building PayPal and then decided his hobby was being the internet's most annoying commenter.
But that's exactly the problem. If you can't tell the difference between a master troll and a sincere fool, then the platform, and by extension the culture, treats them the same. The algorithm doesn't care about intent. It just cares about engagement. So when Elon posts something that could be a joke or could be a dog whistle, it gets amplified. And because he owns the platform, he gets to decide which interpretation sticks.
Right, but here's where I push back. You're describing a structural problem that predates Elon. Poe's law was a problem in 2005 on forums. The difference now is that the guy with the most reach has the most ambiguous signal. But the solution isn't to try to figure out if he's really a fascist. The solution is to stop platforming the ambiguity. If you can't tell if it's a joke, you err on the side of not amplifying it. That's the responsible thing.
But who gets to make that call? You? Me? The platform? We just spent a whole segment talking about how the moderation teams are gutted. The platform's design now rewards the ambiguity. The retweets, the quote tweets, the "I can't tell if this is real" replies. All of that juice is what keeps the content in the feed. So when you say stop platforming it, you're asking for a human judgment call that the system is structurally incapable of making.
So your argument is that we're stuck, that we have to keep guessing forever?
My argument is that Elon Musk is that stuckness personified. He's the avatar of Poe's law. We will never know if he's joking, and the platform he owns ensures we never have to find out, because the uncertainty drives engagement. The uncertainty is the product.
Look, I think that's a very elegant, very dark theory, but I think it's also a way to avoid saying a simpler thing. He's just a rich guy saying stupid things. And the reason we can't tell if he's joking is because there's no coherent ideology behind it. It's just vibes. And vibes aren't a politics. They're a mood.
That's where I think you're being too generous. Vibes are a politics. They're a politics of plausible deniability. He can say something that gets picked up by neo-Nazis, and then when called out, he says it was a meme. That's not a lack of ideology. That's a strategy.
Okay, but then explain the Twitter file stuff. Was that a bit? A sincere attempt at transparency? A way to own the libs? I think it was all three, in no particular order. And I think that's just how his brain works. He doesn't have a master plan. He has a phone and a lot of free time.
And that's exactly what makes him the perfect case study for this episode. We're having the argument that Poe's law predicts. We are two people looking at the same data, and we cannot agree on the intent. And because we can't agree on the intent, we can't agree on how to respond. Do we platform his tweets as serious policy proposals, or do we laugh them off as jokes? The ambiguity is paralyzing.
I'll give you this. He's the most successful troll in history because he's made us all argue about whether he's a troll.
That's the Poe's law singularity. You can't tell if it's satire, you can't tell if it's evil, and the only winning move is to log off. But nobody logs off.
And that's why he owns the site.
And that's why we're all still here. We'll be right back. So, we've officially spent an hour diagnosing the internet's terminal sincerity deficit. And I think the only honest response is to just stop trying to win. Embrace the ambiguity. Log off with your tail between your legs.
Oh, classic. The enlightened centrist exit strategy. I refuse to engage because the discourse is broken. That's not wisdom, man. That's you giving up because you got ratioed one too many times.
No. I got ratioed once in 2016, and I still think about it in the shower. But that's not the point. The point is that every time you try to win an argument online, you're playing a game where the rules are written by engagement metrics. Poe's law isn't a bug you can patch with a better UI. It's the ambient condition of the platform.
Bullshit. The ambient condition is that we have a generation of people who have never been taught how to evaluate sources. I'm serious. Look at the data on media literacy. Most high school kids can't tell the difference between a news article and a sponsored post, and we're just supposed to shrug and say, embrace the ambiguity? No. The answer is better digital literacy education, starting in elementary school.
Okay, I love that you think the school system, the same one that banned Wikipedia in 2005 and told you don't cite the shrek.wikia.com, is going to produce a generation of finely calibrated sarcasm detectors. You're asking the institution that taught you to diagram sentences to solve the problem of algorithmic irony poisoning?
It's not about teaching them to detect sarcasm. It's about teaching them to ask, who wrote this? Why? And what are they trying to get me to do? That's not fucking rocket science. That's a 3-question framework. You could teach it in a single assembly.
And yet, here we are, with the realistic troll face trending on Know Your Meme, which, by the way, is the most on-brand thing that's happened this week. The original troll face was a raw, sincere expression of chaos. Now it's been smoothed over, rendered in 4K, and marketed back to us as ironic. The meme died, so it could be taxidermied.
See, this is what I mean. You're doing the cynical historian bit. Oh, the purity of the early internet. It's exhausting. You want to know the real story? I was actually sincere online once. Exactly one time.
Oh, God. Please don't.
It was 2019. A guy on Twitter said something genuinely wrong about the physics of wave propagation. And I thought, I'm going to be helpful. I'm going to explain it kindly with no edge. I wrote a 4-tweet thread, cited sources, used diagrams. I was the goddamn Mr. Rogers of oceanography that night. He screenshotted it, called me a Reddit tier pedant, and his followers piled on for 3 days. One guy doxed my old CUNY email. I deleted the thread. I have not been sincere since.
Exactly. That's the game. The platform incentivizes the performance of sincerity while punishing actual sincerity. The only winning move is to stop playing. You log off. You go touch grass. You read a book printed on paper.
And meanwhile, the AstroTurfers keep winning. The brands keep astroturfing. The platforms keep inshitifying. Cory Doctorow's word is now in the dictionary, which means the thing it describes is now permanent. You can't just opt out of the information ecosystem. That's not a solution. That's surrender.
Okay, we're not going to agree on this. And I think that's honest. So let's just leave it here.
Fine, but I'm still going to teach the 3-question framework to my imaginary children.
Final thought then. Poe's Law isn't a bug. It's a feature. And we're the product.
Yeah, and I'm still paying the subscription.
This has been Poe's Law, when the internet can't tell if you're joking or just evil. I'm host A.
I'm host B.
Try to mean less tomorrow.